Hey family, it's your girl, Boss B, and welcome to the Ask a Bee Show, the place where your letters come to life. Every day people write in with real questions about life, love, and everything in between. And together we find hope, healing, and a whole lot of honesty. Because here on Ask a Bee, we don't just talk about problems, we talk about possibilities. So grab your tea, open your heart, and let's buzz into today's letters right here on the Ask a Bee Show. Howdy, howdy. Welcome back to the Ask a Bee Show. Today we're going to step into something that feels a little softer, a little warmer. Y'all, my nerves, I'm telling you. This one's going to be a whole lot more real, and that typical holiday talk you hear this time of year. Because let's be honest, most of the world is out here selling the idea of Thanksgiving as if everybody's got matching plates. You know, a professionally roasted turkey or pumpkin centerpieces from Pinterest, and I don't know, a $300 grocery run sitting pretty on the corner or counter. But the truth, all right, most of us are not living in a Pinterest board. Even though I've been working on Pinterest stuff this morning, it feels like. Anyway, most of us are just trying to feed our families the best that we can and stretch what we have, right? And still create a moment that feels like love and they'll remember. So today's show is about the real heart behind Thanksgiving, simple meals, real people, and the kind of gratitude that shows up in the smallest ways when life has pulled every single last string you've got. And, if you're anything like me, you've had holidays where the food didn't match the picture in your head. Maybe the turkey never thawed, or maybe you burned the rolls. Maybe you didn't have a turkey at all. Maybe you stood in the kitchen trying to figure out how to turn 5 ingredients into something that looked like a meal. Somehow it still worked, right? Okay, because that's what real people do. We make the best out of what we have, and we turn it into something our family will remember long after the store-bought pies are forgotten. So this year has been one of those years for so many of us, right? Every dollar matters. Every choice matters. Every meal felt like, math. And through that kindness, it hits different. Now, the small things that hit different, I don't know. I don't think we pay enough attention to them. And through that, kindness hits different too. So the people who helped you through the rough patches, that hits different too. On January 31st, okay, I have the honor, and I do mean absolute honor, of speaking at a conference about the women at the food pantry who have helped me in my time of need over and over again for a couple of years now. And not, pardon me, not because I'm some guest of importance, but because I represent every single person who's walked through those doors needing help and found dignity instead of judgment. Okay, these women, they don't just give food, they give hope. They give us relief, and they give you the breath you didn't know you were holding. And I can't wait to do a video about them when the time is right. Of course, not today, probably not this month, but in January, their story has to be told, okay? Today, we just let the gratitude breathe. And maybe that's where you are too, right? Maybe this season feels heavy. Well, hello, Nisi. Thank you for being here. Absolutely, Vixen. Absolutely. Not everyone has some plates on Thanksgiving. You're absolutely correct. Thank you. It's so true. And hopefully we'll walk away from this with a little something else, because it's hard. Holidays are hard. And maybe this season really does feel heavy to you. Maybe it feels tight, or like you're walking into the holidays trying to figure out how to make something out of nothing. And, I want you to know you're not alone. There are ways to create a beautiful Thanksgiving without the stress, without the pressure. I mean, without the total guilt of not doing enough. And, as a mom of three with them having all their families, I feel that. I really feel that. And we're just going to go ahead and talk about simple meals that can feed a family without draining your wallet. And we're going to talk about homemade gift ideas that look expensive but cost nothing. Okay. Because the best gifts they're not measured in money, they're measured in meaning. And we're going to talk about slowing down enough to find gratitude in your life. Oh, you did, honey. That's okay. You can go watch the replay. You know I'm here. I hope everything was okay. That's my plus sister right there. Love that lady. So, yeah, I want to do this without draining your wallet. We're going to talk about homemade gift ideas that look really good, right? So, most importantly, we're going to talk about how to give yourself grace during a season that demands more of us than any other. Okay, that's not a very convincing yeah, but I'm going to trust you. I love you, doll. I'm here if you need me. I told Big Jack to give you my number. You could call me anytime, just not during the show, because then they'll have one on me. You missed it. Okay. Because gratitude isn't loud, and gratitude, we know, is not flashy. All right. It's a tiny moment where you realize I made it through that. Okay, good. I'm so glad. I'm here and I love you very, very much. Okay, gratitude. Gratitude is having something to put on the table, even if it doesn't look like the commercials. Okay. There we go with watching everybody's good reels again, too. Gratitude is the people who stood by you this year, even when they didn't have to. And the memories you're making right now, even if the house is messy and life is imperfect, gratitude is real people doing their best. And that's the entire point of Thanksgiving. At least it is for me. So today, settle in with me. This one's going to be a minute, but we're going to laugh a little, as always, and we're going to have some real talk. We're going to share ideas, stories, and in true Ask a Bee style, we're going to end it all with a music trivia moment straight out of rock history today. Because nothing really keeps the show grounded quite like blending real life wisdom, with the soundtrack of the people who shaped our memories. So let me tell you, today's holiday rock trivia has a twist that even the biggest fans don't know. You know what? Simple meals, real talk, true gratitude. And honey, if there was ever a time for a show like this, it's right now. All right, y'all. Before we dive into the meals and the gift ideas and all the heart of today's show, we have to slide into my favorite part. Ask a Bee music trivia. That's me. Because even during the holidays, we keep the music alive around here. Okay. And you already know music hits different this time of year too. There's something about the lights, the cold air when you have it, not in Texas, but the feeling of everything slowing down that makes even the toughest person soften up when the right song comes on. And I'm going to tell you right now, Christmas music isn't just carols and choirs. The rock world has some of the wildest, strangest, most unexpected holiday stories you'll ever hear. So today's trivia is staying true to our roots. We're keeping it musical. We're keeping it rock, and we're giving you a little peek behind the curtain of a holiday track. And that has a deeper story than anyone realizes too, okay? It's one of those songs you might have heard without even knowing the history behind it. And trust me, when you find out what really went on into this, it hits you right in the chest, because even rock legends have their own way of showing heart during the holidays. And I wanted to bring this one today because it goes hand in hand with everything we're talking about: gratitude, history, what we carry with us from the people who, they shaped us, and the little things that find their way into the season, whether we expect it or not. Okay, honey, I'm glad you're back. This is a holiday track with roots deeper than Christmas song. And it's deeper than any Christmas song has any right to have, if you ask me. But the story behind it is something only the true fans would ever really know. So let me get ready. Okay, because let's get our minds warmed up. Pardon me. I'm going to lean into a little holiday mystery for this one. I've got a Leonard Skinner holiday story lined up that is going to surprise you, even if you've been a fan your whole life, or even if you haven't. Get your guesses ready, because this is one of those bits of trivia that makes you go, no way, really? All right. Ask B holiday trivia starts right now. Let's do this. Okay. Here's your holiday music trivia for today. Here, let me pull that down because it looks like it's right in the way. We're going to head straight into the world of Leonard Skinner for this one. Now, most people know Leonard Skinner for anthems, the guitar, the grit, the history. But what a lot of folks don't realize is that tucked inside their catalog is a Christmas song with a story deeper than the holiday lights and the jingle of the season. The song is Southern rock holiday track, warm, nostalgic, and carrying lots of that signature Skinner soul. But behind the scenes, something rare happened. When the band decided to bring that song to life, when they sat down to shape the track, they didn't just pull from the present. They didn't just write something new. They reached back, far back, into the heart of their own history. And what they used is something almost no fans know about. Something that ties the band's past to the present in a way that hits especially hard this time of year. So here's the question. What deeply personal and rarely known piece of Leonard Skinner's history did the band use when creating Christmas Time Again? Something that connected the final song to the legacy of their original frontman, Ronnie Van Zant. Now, y'all think on that for a minute. Roll that question around in your head, and while you're thinking, go ahead and enjoy this little fact. Leonard Skinner, one of my favorites. All righty, let's get back over here. So now it's time for our funny letter, because I can't just dive into the deep stuff. And, when it's funny, it's funny. We have to stretch our energy legs with this one. Just like I told Walt the other day. Beautiful episode, might I add, too. You all should go back and watch that one. Okay. While that trivia question is simmering in your brain like gravy and on a back burner, like in my house, it is time for one of my absolute favorites. This is my absolute favorites. The funny letter part. And listen, I already know some of you have been waiting for this part, because holidays brings out the absolute best dumb decisions, the wildest family stories, and the kind of chaos you can't make up. Not even if you tried, right? I don't know what it is about November and December, but something about this season makes people lose their entire natural born minds, right? Folks who act normal all year long suddenly turn into casserole critics, pie inspectors, and turkey commandos with clipboards. Yeah. And every year, without fail, somebody writes in with a situation that makes me go, now listen, we can't be doing this. So since today's theme is simple meals, real people, and true gratitude, I felt like we needed a funny letter that reflects real life. The kind of stuff nobody posts on Facebook because they're just too busy pretending their life is a Hallmark moment. So, because let's be honest, real Thanksgiving isn't calm. It isn't elegant. Okay. It's just not. It's not peaceful. Real Thanksgiving is noise, mess, somebody yelling about the oven temperature, somebody else hiding in the bathroom, and everybody pretending that they didn't hear the smoke detector go off. We know this is true. So get yourself ready because today's funny letter is one of those stories that reminds us we're all just trying our best. And some of us are trying while wobbling, I guess, on the last thread of sanity, pick me, held together with duct tape and hope. Yeah, no. This one had me laughing immediately because it is exactly the kind of holiday shenanigans that happen to real people, namely me. Not the Pinterest models, okay? No, no, no. Not that my table is perfect, folks. That's not me either. No, no, no. It's done eat. But the rest of us who are building tradition out of broken spoons and vibes, let's read it, let's laugh, and let's remind ourselves that sometimes the funniest moments are the ones we never tell the family. But we'll absolutely right to ask a bee. Buckle up. This one's good. Okay, give me 1 second here. This one's going to take a breath or two. Oh my goodness. So this one is signed by Can I Borrow Your Oven? I need help before I lose the last 3 brain cells I have been protecting since Halloween. Honey, you are doing better than me already. I'm hosting Thanksgiving this year. First mistake. Not because I want to, but because I opened my mouth at the wrong time and said, sure, I can do it. Do we need? No, we're not having that discussion. Okay. I was half asleep and apparently having an out of body experience. Now, where are we? Now, here we are. Pardon me. My sister in law, who thinks she is Martha Stewart reincarnated, told me I needed to elevate my Thanksgiving dishes. Oh, I know it can elevate blood pressure. Elevate what? I'm stretching cans, boxes, and coupons. The only thing getting elevated in this house is my blood pressure. See, she said I should make homemade cranberry sauce with notes of citrus and bright acidity. Girl, the only acidity in this house is coming out of me. Ditto. Ditto. Sorry. Then my cousin texted saying she's trying something new this year, which is code for she's about to ruin something important. Oh no. She is bringing tofu turkey because she's going through her spiritual cleanse phase. Last month, she was born again. My face says everything, doesn't it? I need to back away from this camera or something. Wow. This month, she's apparently a woodland fairy who only eats vibes. Now here's where it gets stupid. Oh, now? No. My oven died yesterday. I have a 17-pound turkey defrosting in a pan on my counter and nowhere to cook it. I Googled how to cook a turkey without an oven, and the internet suggested use a grill. I don't have one. Deep fry it. I value my eyebrows. Or Get creative with alternative heat sources, which I'm pretty sure is a felony. It is here. It is here. Yeah. Oh, gosh. And then my neighbor, bless his eager heart, said I could borrow his oven. I thought he meant he would let me put it in there and come get it when it's done. Oh, no. He meant I come cook it in his kitchen. Sir, I don't want to cook a raw turkey in a grown man's house. I barely know. That feels like how documentaries start. I agree on that one. Okay, to make it worse, my husband invited his coworker, the same one who chews with his mouth open and thinks he knows more about football than the actual NFL. That man's in the front room. I swear it. Okay, he also said he's allergic to seasoning. Not in my house. Oh, I can't even season my turkey. I might as well serve him a bowl of warm air. That's what I give him. Lastly, and this is the most important part, and I'm sorry, and what I'm most embarrassed about, I tried to make a test run of boxed stuffings to see if I could add anything to it to dress it up. The box said, "Let stand for 5 minutes." I left it for 12. Then I lifted the lid. The spoon stood straight up by itself, like it was saluting me. I made stuffing you could patch a roof with. B, please help me. Get me through Thursday without poisoning someone, catching a charge, or ending up on the HOA Facebook page again. I am exhausted and it isn't even Thanksgiving yet. What do I do? Sign, can I borrow your oven? Wow, that's a lot of unpacking to do. It's a good thing I know how. Huh. Well, pardon me, I need another drink. All right. You can borrow my oven, but sweet baby yams. Pull up a chair because we got to talk. Okay. First of all, you are not cooking Thanksgiving, you are surviving it. You're in the trenches, knee deep in cranberry chaos, right? And you're doing it with broken oven, a tofu turkey, and a man allergic to seasoning. Girl, that's not a holiday. That's a reality show waiting to happen. Perfect timing, too, right? Let's start with your Martha Stewart in law. If she tells you, she's telling you add notes of citrus. Let me say that right. Notes of citrus and bright acidity. Baby, the only notes of acidity in that house are coming from your soul. If she wants hand zested organic cranberries, tell her to zest her behind over here and make it herself. Ain't nobody in survival mode adding sherbet level citrus notes, okay? Not to a 99-cent can of cranberry sauce. Sorry. Now let's talk about your cousin and her tofu turkey. I'm almost afraid to say anything. Listen, let her bring her rubbery fairy forest bird seed brick if she wants to, okay? Because every family has one person who brings something that makes the whole table go silent for 5 seconds at least. Now, that's her role. That's her shine, right? You just put it on a plate no one can reach and act like it's an artistic centerpiece. Shh. Don't tell my daughter-in-law I said that. Now, your oven dying the day before Thanksgiving. Didn't we just talk about turkey? Didn't we just talk about Murphy's Law? I think we did, right? Okay, it's not sabotage. I think more that's God himself saying, baby, sit down. You have suffered long enough. And then your neighbor offering his kitchen, do not go over there. Please do not go over there alone. Not with the raw turkey and your hopes and dreams. Okay, that man is one misunderstood eyebrow wiggle. Yeah. Oh, away. Oh no, I can't even talk about this one. It's crazy. Just politely, politely decline. Yeah, yeah. Tell him your turkey is at peace and has chosen another path. Yeah. Goodness. Now, for the coworker who's allergic to seasoning, I have one suggestion. Give him a plate of ice, just ice, frozen water, zero flavor. It's the only fully hypoallergenic item that won't offend his delicate taste buds, right? Let him crunch and be grateful. And baby, the stuffing, if the spoon stood up like it was pledging allegiance to the flag, you didn't make stuffing, you made construction compound. Um, Home Depot could stock that. But that's not a side dish. Okay, that's a total patch kit. That's something you used to fix pothole and anchor or trampoline, maybe. If you throw that at a wall and it sticks, you're officially a culinary threat. Got me? Here's the good news. There is some of that. You don't need an oven, you don't need perfection, and you definitely don't need circus or citrus, pardon me, citrus noted anything. You can do stovetop turkey breast, crock pot turkey, rotisserie chicken on sale, sides made in one pot, and a dessert from a box. Nobody will care, okay? Because real Thanksgiving isn't about gourmet anything. It's about laughing your way through disasters, feeding people you love with whatever you've got, and pretending the tofu turkey is interesting at the very least until your cousin leaves and you can throw it away in peace, right? Sorry, I'm not a tofu eater. All right, you're gonna be fine, baby. You're already survived the hardest part, right? The planning. Everything from here on out is just gravy. And if the gravy fails, guess what? They make packets for that too. My goodness. My goodness. Holiday stuff. Holidays. You know, I love them. All right, y'all. Now that we've wiped the tears from our eyes and clenched our stomachs from laughing at that Thanksgiving survival saga, I want to take a breath together and shift gears for a moment. Because as funny as holiday chaos can be, and Lord knows it gives us material, there's another side to this season, right? That deserves just as much space. The part that it isn't polished or loud or Instagram ready. The part we don't always talk about at the table, right? This is the time of year when emotions get really heavy for a lot of people. Some of us are stretching meals. Some of us are missing people who won't be at the table this year. I have a lot of those right now. Some of us are walking into holidays with worry in our chest that we never say out loud. And some of us, maybe you listening right now, are doing the absolute best you can with what you have, even when it feels like nobody sees how hard you're carrying it. That's why I love this part of the show. Okay. This is where we get to let the real stuff breathe. It's where we can shake off the pressure to perform or pretend, and we can let someone's story sit in the room with honesty and tenderness and grace, because Thanksgiving isn't just about food or decorations or who's bringing what. It's also about the hearts sitting at the table, the ones who are tired, right? The ones who are hopeful and hurting. And, you know, we're all trying. Everyone knows. There's a lot of us rebuilding, the ones who don't really feel seen, the ones who feel grateful and guilty at the same time. And Our more serious letter is the moment that we can pause and say, you're not the only one, and you're not crazy, and you're definitely not failing. You're human. You're allowed to feel what you feel. Okay. Today's letter fits perfectly with this theme. Thanksgiving stripped down to what truly matters, with simple meals, real people, and gratitude that shows up in unexpected places. This one is honest. It's going to be a little raw, it's a little tender, and it's exactly the kind of note someone out there needs to hear today. Okay, so take a breath, settle in, and let's open today's serious letter together. Now, dear B, pardon me, I should probably, yeah, there we go. This year, I'm having a harder time than I expected. I'm usually the one who tries to make the holidays feel special for everyone else, the one who cooks, who decorates, who tries to create some kind of magic, even if everything around me feels anything but magical. But this year, I don't have it in me the way I used to. Money's tight, the house feels different, and I'm walking into Thanksgiving with a kind of heaviness I didn't see coming. My kids are older now, and for the first time, they asked me if we were even doing Thanksgiving at home this year because they didn't want me to stress out again. They weren't saying it to be rude. I know that. They were saying it because they've watched me carry too much, and hearing it felt like somebody held up a mirror I wasn't ready to look into. I didn't realize how much they noticed. I want to give them a good day. I want to make the meal, even if it's small. I want to create that feeling of family that I always tried so hard to protect. But the truth is, I feel ashamed that I can't do it the way I used to. I feel like I'm falling short. I feel you, girl. I feel you. Part of me wants to pretend everything is fine, make a big spread like always, and hide the stress behind the smile. But the bigger part of me is tired of pretending. I'm tired of acting like the holidays don't hurt a little sometimes. I'm tired of forcing myself to be the strong one just because nobody else will take up that role. Here's the part I haven't said out loud to anyone. I'm embarrassed that this year's Thanksgiving is going to be simple, cheap, thrown together. I know my kids love me. I know the food doesn't define the day. I know all the things people say, but it doesn't stop me from feeling like I'm not enough this year. I guess I guess what I'm asking B is, how do you get through the holidays when you can't give as much as you want to? How do you find gratitude when you're looking at a table that feels smaller than it used to be? How do you shake the shame of not being able to do it all anymore? I don't want to dread Thanksgiving. I want to feel thankful. I want to feel peace. And I want to feel like I'm doing right by my family, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not big, and even if I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but I hope it's not just me. Honey, the very first thing I want you to hear, and I mean really hear, is that nothing is about your worth as a mother or as a woman or as a person, or a person who disappears just because this Thanksgiving looks different than last year's or the year before. Life changes, circumstances change, seasons shift in ways we don't see. And sometimes they shift right beneath our feet. That doesn't mean you've lost anything. Okay. It means you're human. And being human in the holidays is not something you should ever feel ashamed of. Now, you said your kids told you they didn't want you stressing this year. Baby girl, that's not criticism. Okay. That's love. That's your children, the same ones you've poured yourself into, sacrificed for, protected, fed, comforted, carried, okay? Not looking at you and saying, Mama, we see you. Come on. They see you. They know what you do. And I know all this time it doesn't feel like that. But they're telling you, we don't want you to hurt yourself to make something perfect for us. That's not failure. Oh my goodness. That is fruit. That is what happens when children grow up with a mother who showed them love through exhaustion. Okay? And they grew up enough to finally reflect that care back to you. That's not a loss. That's a harvest you planted years ago. Listen, it's easy to feel ashamed when the table is smaller, the budget is tighter, and you can't recreate the big spreads you used to. But I want you to understand this, okay? The size of the meal has never, ever determined the size of the memory. It has not. People remember laughter and warmth, and they remember who sat next to them, who listened, who cared and showed up, okay? They do not remember how many casseroles were on the table. They don't remember. They don't remember the menu. They remember the moment, okay? And if all you can manage this year is a simple meal, a calm atmosphere, and a heart that's trying its best, baby girl, you've already given them more, way more than most families ever get. I want you to release this whole idea that you have to be the glue, the backbone. No, you don't have to be the chef and the decorator, the entertainer, okay? Don't be the emotional shock absorber. You've spent years doing that, and yes, your kids noticed. They did, but not in a way that should make you feel ashamed, okay? They noticed it in a way that made them realize their mama is human and she deserves help, rest, comfort, peace, and she's been doing such an amazing job. Absolutely. This might be the first year that they get to love you back in a way you can actually feel. Let them, please. Let your kids handle the dishes. Let the day be small. Let the moment breathe instead of forcing a performance that you can't sustain anymore. Now, you asked to find gratitude when the table is smaller. Oh, baby girl, sometimes the smallest table has the biggest heart. Sometimes the quietest holidays are the ones that heal the most, okay? Sometimes the years where we do less are the years where we finally understand that enough really means enough. Gratitude isn't loud, okay? It's not complicated either. Gratitude is recognizing that even in a year that felt heavy, you'll still have love in that house. You still have people who care. You still have a place at the table, even if the table looks different, okay? I've learned this the hard way in 2020 when my mom passed. And you know how hard it is for a girl when her mother passes. You know how hard it is for an only child, an only girl when her mother passes. It's been rough for me. Holidays are awful for me. They're awful. But my kids are starting to recognize. Okay? You ask how to shake the shame. You shake it by telling yourself the truth. You're not falling apart. You're adjusting and you're adapting. You're making the best of what you have. That is not failure, okay? That's resilience. That is resilience. And that's what we're about here. proving you have some. We got lemonade, we got honey, we got all of it. And it's all about resilience. That is motherhood in its realest form, too. Okay. And your kids, they don't love you because you put out a 5-course Thanksgiving. They love you because you show up, even on the days you feel empty. They love you because you're theirs. Even if they don't say it, it's true. Okay. Believe it. Especially when they're telling you it's okay not to work so hard. They got it. What you've been trying to beat into them for a month of Sundays, they got it, honey. They got it. Let this Thanksgiving be different. Let it be smaller and more simple. Let it be real. You don't have to perform, okay? You never did. You don't have to do or outdo yourself to impress anybody. You just have to be present. You are enough right now. You were enough last year. You will be enough next year. And nothing about your table, big or small, changes that truth. Now, look, there are so many things that you can do, pardon me, outside of this huge presentation that you think you should do. Okay. You know, I understand tradition. I truly do. And I try to be somewhat traditional with my family. And if you have to have that exact meal that you have every single year, then you know what you can do? Instead of making enough for Cox's Army, make enough for your tiny family. You don't have to have leftovers. Yes, I know how wonderful they are for the week past, but guess what? That saves you money too. So sure, do what you can afford. Listen, one year, and it was hard for me because I've got one child out of 3, out of my entire freaking family, right? That likes dark meat. Just one. And things were a little tight. So what I did is I went, instead of getting a full turkey, $20, $30 turkey right now, I got a $10, $15 turkey breast. And then, I baked it and then I put stuffing around it. It was half of what I had from the year before, but it was still enough. It was still me being present. It was still me doing for them the best I could. And they saw that. They knew that. Okay. The food pantries. Let me tell you, go on Google Apps or iPhone, whichever you have. Okay. Go on there and look for food pantry app. There is one. And you can find a food pantry anywhere in your area. And most of the time, the only thing that they really need is for you to show up and give them a little information, maybe an ID. These ladies that I will be speaking for in January, they have been amazing for me over the last few years and still to this day. I'm not ashamed to say it. Yes, I go to a food pantry when I need help, but only when I need help. And right now things are hard, okay? And we're not going to talk about politics of it. We're not going to talk about the religious part of it. What we're talking about is life right now, okay? Things are hard. It's the holidays. Things get tough in October because you're right close to Thanksgiving and you got to do all that planning and you have a whole year, but you wait until the last minute because you don't know how much money you're going to have in your pocket by this time next year, right? And you think, well, if I'm still doing the way I'm doing now, it's going to be even less. So what? So what? At least it was there. And maybe try something different because tradition is nice. But hey, guess what? All those things that you've been making all your life, basically, because your mama taught you how to do it and her mom taught her. All those things that you've been doing all your life, you've also been teaching to your children, right? My children all have a copy of the recipe of everything I make for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And now, when my children are able to come to my house, they have those recipes to make a dish to bring to my house. I don't have to do as much anymore. I used to spend an entire 24 hours cooking, no sleep. I swear to you, no sleep, an entire 24 hours because that stuff was made from scratch. Had a beautiful mom. She had some hard times. So we lived with my grandmother. I lived with my grandmother quite a bit. So she had a lot of time to teach me those things. I have the original sewing machine that my grandmother taught me how to sew on. I sew my own clothes sometimes, And these are things that were taught to us that we teach to our children. My daughter, she can most definitely, my sons can get on a sewing machine. Okay. They can cook a meal if they need to. Those are the things we instill into our children. And even though we don't see it, like I know that my mother used to make her gravy because she couldn't do it. The roux. She couldn't do the roux. She burned it every time. I don't know why. I tried to teach her. She said, come make me some. Okay, no problem. My daughter makes better gravy than I do. That's what we do, right? We teach our children and we teach our siblings too, for that matter, because, well, I have half brother and sisters. There's 6 of us. I'm the oldest. I've not spent as much time with them, so I don't really have that sibling idea, except for my plus sister. I'm starting to feel that much better now. That makes it better. But seriously, there are so many things that you can do that are not going to cost you. And there are so many things that your children know and see that you think that they don't. And maybe if they say that, it's not because they're putting you down. It's not because they're saying, hey, your food stunk last year. It did not. It was just as good as the years before. But they can see how tired you are, honey. They see it. They hear it in your voice when you start talking about Thanksgiving dinner. Believe me, when I start talking about it, I am not happy, pappy, peppy, okay? Not at all. The point I'm trying to make here, though, is there are so many different things that you can do now that you don't have to make such a production of it. Let your children make the production. You know what? Let your children have it at their house for once. Do you know how proud? Actually, no, let me ask you this way. Do you remember how proud you were the first time that you hosted your entire family in your home for a dinner of any kind? Even if it was just a small dinner, you asked your parents to come over and have dinner in your new home. Every child needs that feeling, right? I know the first time that my mother came out to the farm that my husband and I had, oh my gosh, my mother is a city folk. She wouldn't even eat brown eggs, okay? Seriously. Oh, she's going to strike me down for that one, but seriously. And that was because she was chased by a chicken. She hates chickens. Whatever. My mother was weird. So am I. Big deal. The point I'm trying to make, though, I seen it when my grandmother was tired of doing it. And I seen it when my mother was tired of doing it. And the first time that I got to do that, uh, I'm serious. I thought I was queen of Thanksgiving. It's an amazing feeling. And I think those are the things that we carry into our children's adulthood. We're always teaching them. It's a never ending story here. Okay. They're always going to learn something new from us. Maybe something we haven't even learned yet, but they're always going to learn something new from us. And I think that's a big one, right? What to do and everything. Hi there, Big Jack. Good to see you. Thank you. Uh, you know what? I just, okay. That's Twitch. Not my problem. Anyway, So here's the point. There are things you can do. There are gifts that you can make for Christmas. You know, there are so many things that I'm doing with my granddaughter right now. I'm helping her make a gift for everybody because that's what I do. I like to make my gifts. And there are so many things you can do that are so inexpensive. You know, if you have a baby in the house, save your baby jars. DIY is so cool. And you know what? I DIY all day long from everything to nothing. Right now, I'm trying to build my granddaughter a nice little workspace where she can do her schoolwork, which, yes, she's almost 4 years old. It's pre-K stuff, but we want her to be ready. Can't afford daycare right now. It's the holidays, you know, it's all of it. But so we are just trying to make her a little space where she has her quiet time and everything, right? And it's working. And when I get off of here today, I'm going to go right back to it because she's going to be here tomorrow and I'm trying to surprise her a little bit. It's turning out really good. And I may even show a picture of it, but I don't work well with people watching. So I'm not filming that. Anyway, all right. We are into our trivia answer. Shall we? All right, y'all. I want you to take a second and really think about the weight of the question we just asked because holiday trivia usually feels light, okay? Let me bring this up again for you. Here we go. Yes, I made a little video for it. It's so cool. I'm so smarticle. What deeply personal and rarely known piece of Leonard Skinner's history did the band use when creating Christmas Time Again, something that connected the final song to the legacy of their own original frontman, Ronnie Van Zant? Now, the answer to today's Leonard Skinner holiday trivia is one of those pieces of history moments that, you know, it sits quietly in the background until somebody finally pulls the curtain back and says, no, y'all need to hear this. Now, when Leonard Skinner worked on Christmas Time Again, they weren't just trying to make a holiday song. They weren't trying to jump on a trend or put out, you know, like a quick seasonal track. They were trying to create something that felt rooted in their identity, in their history, especially, and in everything they had lived through as a band that had experienced both unimaginable success and unimaginable loss. Most people hear that song and think, oh, that's Skinner during a Christmas moment. But behind the scenes, something far more meaningful happened, okay? Instead of writing brand new lyrics from scratch, the surviving members reached out into a part of their past that, you know, most bands don't touch. A part of what was painful and sacred and deeply personal. They pulled out a box of Ronnie Van Zant's old written notebooks. Not polished lyrics, not typed out sheets, actual notebooks filled with his scribbles, ideas, unfinished thoughts, you know, his half-written lines, and the kind of raw creativity that gets left behind when an artist is taken too soon. Wow, imagine that for a moment, okay? You know, you're sitting at a table, flipping through pages written by a man who shaped the very identity of Southern rock, a man whose voice set the tone for the whole band and whose, pardon me, whose loss nearly stopped the music forever. Ronnie's handwriting wasn't neat or organized. It was real. It was emotional. It was pieces of his mind captured in between rehearsals, backstage moments, quiet hours when inspiration hit. Some lines were complete. Some were kind of scratched out. Some trailed off in the middle, like he'd stepped away for like a smoke or moved on to the next idea, but they were his, and they were untouched, and they were full of his spirit. And when the band found these notebooks, something clicked, and it was emotional. It was really heavy, and it made them realize this holiday song needed more than just instruments, right? It needed heart and history. It needed the man who started it all. So they didn't just read those pages, they used. They took Ronnie's words, whose forgotten piece of poetry, the fragments of ideas, those really emotional sparks, and wove them directly into Christmas time again. So what fans hear today is not just a holiday track, you know, it's Ronnie Van Zant's voice echoing decades beyond his life. So it is surviving the band members. They honoring him in the most intimate way possible, right? Not by recreating him, not by copying him, but by carrying forward the lines he never got the chance to finish. They shaped the song around Ronnie's original handwritten notes, giving his words a second life, and they anchored the entire track to the root of the bands. So, the answer, pardon me, while we're flipping. Okay, so the answer, Leonard Skinner used Ronnie Van Zant's original handwritten notes, real pages from his old notebooks, to help create Christmas Time Again. And when you know that, the song stops being just another holiday tune. It becomes a bridge, a tribute, a quiet moment of legacy slipping into a season of reflection, you know? Yep. So I went and put the wrong one up, whatever. All right. So, you know, it was a tribute, a quiet moment of legacy slipping into a season of reflection. Ronnie's presence isn't just remembered in this, it's heard and carried. It kept alive through the music he never got to finish, but left behind for the people who still, I guess, loved him enough to refuse to let his voice fade. Most fans have no idea, but once you know, you hear that song differently. It becomes more than Christmas. It becomes, well, history, I guess. So, as we start winding down from all that, I want to take a moment to pull all this together, because today wasn't just about cooking tips or surviving Thanksgiving or even holiday trivia, right? Today was really about the heart behind all of it. The part of the season that gets overshadowed by the noise. And behind all of it, the part of the season that gets overshadowed, or pardon me. Yes, I'm reading from a script on this one. I'm sorry. Look, we laughed at the wild letters. We held space for the tender ones, right? We dug into real life food solutions. Now, we even touched a little bit of Southern rock history that, you know, reminded us how much legacy and love can live inside something as simple as a Christmas song. But more than anything, today was kind of a reminder that Thanksgiving isn't defined by what's on the table, it's defined by who we are while we're sitting around that table. Now, every one of us is carrying something into this season. Some of us are carrying joy, and some of us are carrying exhaustion or grief, you know, and some of us are really carrying a lot of hope, and all of that at the same time too. So no matter which one of those you are, okay, how messy your mix may be, it's okay. It's human. You don't have to pretend your life looks like a movie. You don't have to force a perfect holiday, and you don't have to stretch yourself until you snap just to prove anything to anyone. What matters more than anything, pardon me, is the heart you bring to the people you love, right? The grace that you give yourself and gratitude you allow yourself to feel, even if the day looks different than the rest, or the years past. We've said it all day long. Simple meals, real people, true gratitude. And if that's all you walk away with, that's enough. It really is. That is more than enough. Okay. Whether your table is small or your meal is simple, traditions they have a way of shifting, and that's okay. And, money's tight for everybody. Loved ones are missing. I have a son in Florida. You're building a new season, and he's still healing from an old one. You're still allowed to find joy. Okay. You are still allowed to find peace. Be proud of yourself for making it to this moment. I want you to sit with that. Okay. Just for a second. Just breathe it in. Let yourself off the hook. Please release the expectations you think you're failing. And remember, you're doing better than you think you are. You're showing up, you're trying, and that alone makes this season meaningful. Now just, bring it home. Okay, so as we close out today's Ask Her Bee, I want to leave you with something that sits a little deeper than the recipes, deeper than the funny moments, deeper than even the stories we shared. Holidays have a way of magnifying whatever you're feeling, okay? If we're joyful, everything feels brighter. If you're overwhelmed, everything feels heavier. If you're hurting, everything feels sharper. But no matter where you fall on that spectrum, there is something sacred in knowing that you are not going through any of it alone, okay? Right here in this little corner of the internet that we've built together, there are people who understand, people who've struggled, people who've rebuilt, who've been stretched thin, but they've been lifted up by the simplest acts of kindness. This community is proof that you don't need a perfect life to have a meaningful one. You just need people willing to walk beside you, As Thanksgiving approaches, give yourself permission to make it your own. If your table is loud and full, enjoy every bit of that chaos. If your table is quiet this year, and honor that stillness, okay? If your budget is tight, let simple food be enough. If your heart is heavy, give yourself grace. I can't stress that enough. You've got to give yourself some grace, honey. And if you're blessed with abundance, share it gently. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about finding the things, however small, that remind you're still here, still standing, still capable of love and being loved. Okay? And sometimes that gratitude shows up in the form of someone handing you a box of food when you need it most. Sometimes it shows up in the form of a stranger's kindness. And even sometimes it shows up in the moment when you laugh harder than you really expected to. Sometimes it even shows up right here in the time we spend together, building something that makes everyday life feel a little lighter. So be proud of yourself today, truly, okay? You tuned in, you participated, you shared space, and you reminded yourself that you're worth showing up for. And as you walk into the rest of your week, carry that with you. Carry it in your heart, in your head, okay? Let it be a reminder that you matter. Your story matters, and your presence most definitely matters. And even on the days when you feel invisible, you are seen right here. Remember that you have every right to build a future that fits you. Not the version people expect, but the version that gives you peace. Thank you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you for trusting me with your letters and your stories and your laughter and your vulnerability. And definitely thank you for your presence. Wherever you're headed today, into work, into errands, into childcare, into the kitchen, or into a moment of much needed rest, I hope you carry a little more light with you than you walked in with today. And if nobody has told you this today, I am proud of you. I am so grateful for you. And I'll see you right back here on the next XB tomorrow, 12 Central. Until then, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Niecy, have a blessed day. Plus, sister, I love you, honey. I'm here if you need me. And make your week filled with grace you didn't expect and blessings you didn't see coming. Goodbye, y'all. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, happy Thanksgiving. Bye.